The spaceport of Zephyr was bustling with the usual medley of traders, travelers, and transients from across the galaxy. Amidst the chaos, Jack Harper moved with a purpose, his keen eyes scanning for profitable opportunities. As a rogue trader known for his ventures into uncharted territories, Jack was a master of navigating the complexities of interstellar commerce. As he maneuvered through the crowd, his attention was caught by a heated exchange near one of the more opulent merchant booths. A towering figure, distinct in her regal bearing and exotic armor, stood surrounded by a small contingent of similarly dressed beings. She was clearly not human, an Amazoran warrior. Her name was Kara, part of a delegation that had come to Earth as a gesture of diplomatic outreach. "Excuse me," Jack said, pushing through the crowd to get a closer look. He watched, intrigued, as Kara argued with the merchant, her voice firm yet controlled. "This artifact belongs to my people. It was taken without consent, and I demand its return," Kara stated, pointing to a small, luminescent stone displayed on the booth. The merchant, a slick-looking man with a persuasive smile, shook his head. "My dear lady, I assure you, I acquired this piece through entirely legitimate channels. Perhaps you're mistaken?" Jack stepped closer, his curiosity piqued. "Mind if I take a look?" he asked, gesturing to the stone. Kara eyed him warily but nodded. Jack picked up the stone, examining it under the light. "Looks like a Nari crystal. Rare, but not unheard of in this part of the galaxy. And definitely stolen from Amazonas," Kara added sharply. "It bears the mark of the High Priestess of Tarnus. Only she can authorize its removal from our planet." Jack looked from the stone to the merchant, raising an eyebrow. "Seems like you've got a problem on your hands, friend." The merchant's confidence wavered, sensing the shift in the crowd's mood. "Well, perhaps I could be convinced to return it, for a price." "No," Jack interjected before Kara could respond. "You'll return it because it's the right thing to do. No charge." The merchant hesitated, then reluctantly handed the crystal to Kara. "Fine. Take it. No need for trouble." Kara accepted the crystal, her stance relaxing slightly. "Thank you," she said to Jack, her voice softer. "Your assistance is unexpected but appreciated." Jack grinned. "Jack Harper, at your service." "And you are?" "Kara of Amazonas. I am here to foster understanding between our worlds." "Then consider this a good start. How about I show you around Zephyr? Consider it an extended olive branch." Kara considered him for a moment, then nodded. "I would like that, Jack Harper." As they walked away from the booth, Jack couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement. Here was a warrior from a warrior race, walking beside him, not as a foe but as a potential friend. "So, Kara of Amazonas, ever tried Earth food? I know a place that serves the best teriyaki skewers this side of the galaxy." Kara smiled, a hint of amusement in her eyes. "I am not familiar with teriyaki, but I am willing to try." As they made their way through the bustling spaceport, Jack realized this was the beginning of something new. Maybe it was the start of a profitable venture, or perhaps something more profound. Whatever it was, he was eager to find out. After their impromptu meal of teriyaki skewers, which Kara declared to be both peculiar and delightful, Jack decided to take his new Amazoran acquaintance on a tour of Earth's most famous landmarks. He figured a bit of sightseeing would help break the ice and maybe deepen the nascent bond between them. "Ever seen the Grand Canyon?" Jack asked as they strolled away from the eatery. The spaceport was beginning to quiet down as evening approached, casting a golden hue over the bustling crowds. Kara looked at him curiously. "I have not. Is it significant?" Jack chuckled. "Oh, it's spectacular. Pictures don't do it justice. We can be there in a couple of hours if we catch the next suborbital flight." The prospect seemed to intrigue Kara. "Very well, Jack Harper. Lead the way." The flight was quick, and soon they were standing at the edge of the Grand Canyon, watching the sunset paint the vast rock formations in shades of orange and red. Kara gazed out over the canyon, visibly moved by the spectacle. "It is more majestic than I imagined," she admitted, her eyes scanning the horizon. Jack watched her, pleased. "It's one of my favorite places on Earth. Makes you feel kinda small, doesn't it?" Kara nodded. "On Amazonas, we have the Crystal Cliffs. They glow under our twin moons. I suppose every world has its wonders. Their conversation drifted from landscapes to cultures. Kara spoke of Amazonas's warrior society, where honor and combat prowess were highly valued. Jack shared anecdotes of Earth's diverse cultures, highlighting the peaceful coexistence of multiple ideologies and lifestyles. As night fell, they set up a campfire at a designated safe spot. Sitting around the fire, Jack pulled out a couple of beers from his pack. Ever tried one? Kara eyed the bottle warily but accepted it. We have fermentation rituals, but nothing like this. She took a tentative sip and considered the flavor. It's bitter, but not unpleasant. Jack grinned, taking a long drink from his own bottle. It grows on you. They talked late into the night, the barriers between them slowly dissolving. Jack was particularly taken by Kara's blend of strength and curiosity. She listened intently to his stories of Earth and its people, her earlier reserve melting away in the warmth of the fire and conversation. "Why did you really help me back at the port?" Kara suddenly asked, her tone serious again. Jack looked into the fire, pondering his answer. "I guess I saw someone who reminded me a bit of myself. A stranger in a strange land, you know? Figured you could use a friend." Kara nodded, seeming to appreciate his honesty. "On Amazonas, bonds forged in battle are considered sacred. What we have is different, but I value it nonetheless." Jack smiled, reaching over to gently clink his bottle against hers. "Here's to new friendships, then, and to understanding between worlds." As they watched the flames dance against the night sky, Jack felt a profound sense of connection, not just to the fierce warrior beside him, but to the possibilities that lay in bridging worlds so vastly different from each other. In that moment, with the stars shining brightly above and the fire crackling softly, Jack and Kara found a shared sense of peace, a mutual recognition of each other's worlds and the beauty held within them. It was the beginning of a journey neither of them had anticipated, one that promised challenges but also rich rewards. The morning sun spilled over the canyon as Jack and Kara packed up their camp. With a day of exploration behind them, Jack had another idea to deepen their cultural exchange. "Have you ever been to a live concert, Kara?" Jack asked as they loaded their gear into the hover vehicle. Kara strapped herself in, looking puzzled. "A concert? I am unfamiliar with this term. It's a performance where musicians play and people gather to listen. It's quite the human experience. There's one in New York tonight, different kinds of music from around the world. What do you say?" Kara nodded, intrigued. "That sounds enlightening. Let us go." The flight to New York was quicker than the one to the Grand Canyon. They arrived just as the city was lighting up for the night, vibrant and full of life. Jack led Kara through the bustling streets to an open-air venue pulsating with people, lights, and the powerful sound of a live band setting up. The concert was a blend of genres: rock, jazz, classical, and several traditional musics from around the globe. Kara listened intently, her eyes wide as she absorbed the variety of sounds and rhythms. "This is very different from Amazonas," Kara shouted over the music to Jack. "Our music is more structured. This is free, chaotic." Jack laughed, enjoying her reaction. "That's humanity for you, chaotic and free. Do you like it?" Kara smiled, nodding her head in time with a particularly vibrant jazz number. "I do. It's captivating." As the evening progressed, they moved through the crowd, Jack explaining the origins of the different music styles and the instruments being played. At one booth, they found traditional African drums being demonstrated. The drummer offered lessons, and Jack urged Kara to try. With a tentative start, Kara began to mimic the drummer's rhythms, gradually losing herself in the sound. Her initial awkwardness gave way to a natural rhythm that surprised both her and Jack. "You're a natural," Jack cheered, clapping along as she drummed with increasing confidence. Kara laughed, her earlier formality fading in the joy of the moment. "This is exhilarating," she admitted as she handed the drums back to the instructor. As the concert wound down, they found a quieter spot by the water's edge. The city's skyline reflected beautifully in the calm water, providing a serene backdrop to their deepening conversation. Jack turned to Kara, his expression thoughtful. "You know, this sharing of cultures, it's kind of what you wanted, right? For our worlds to understand each other better." Yes, Kara agreed, looking out over the water. I believe understanding comes through sharing experiences. Tonight was an experience I shall not forget. Jack smiled, pleased with the night's success. There's more to see and do. Tomorrow, how about we explore some Earth cuisine? There's a lot more variety than just teriyaki and beer. Kara's smile was wide and genuine. I would like that, Jack. I am beginning to see the beauty in your chaos. As they headed back to their vehicle, the night's experiences had woven a new thread into the tapestry of their friendship. For Jack, the night had not only been about introducing Kara to Earth's cultural delights, but also about seeing his own world through her eyes. For Kara, it was a step out of her structured life, a step she was surprisingly ready to embrace. Together, they looked forward to the new day, eager to explore more of what Earth had to offer. The next day dawned bright and clear, a perfect day for Jack's next adventure with Kara. He planned to take her to a small coastal town known for its culinary diversity and scenic beauty. After a brief journey, they arrived in the early afternoon, the salty sea breeze welcoming them warmly. So, what's on the menu for today? Kara asked as they walked down the quaint main street lined with various eateries. Jack grinned, his eyes scanning the array of options. I was thinking we start with some local seafood, then maybe try some Italian, and finish with French desserts. How does that sound? Kara looked amused. A tour of Earth cuisines in one afternoon? Ambitious. Jack Harper. They started at a small, family-owned seafood restaurant overlooking the ocean. The owner, a friendly older man named George, greeted them warmly and recommended the day's catch. As they ate, Jack explained the basics of seafood preparation and the importance of freshness, pointing out the different flavors and textures. Kara, trying oysters for the first time, was initially hesitant but soon enjoyed the experience. The taste is very direct, like the ocean itself, she observed, savoring the freshness. Exactly, Jack said, pleased. Seafood's all about bringing out those natural flavors. Next, they visited a cozy Italian restaurant where they were greeted by a vibrant atmosphere and the aroma of garlic and tomatoes. They ordered a selection of dishes, pasta, pizza, and risotto. Kara watched intently as the chef tossed a pizza dough. Her curiosity piqued. This preparation seems very personal, Kara noted, watching the chef. It's all about passion, Jack explained. Italian cooking is as much about the heart as it is about the ingredients. They shared stories of Amazonas and Earth, comparing culinary traditions and the role of food in social life. Kara was particularly interested in the communal aspect of dining on Earth, contrasting it with the more ceremonial meals of her people. After the Italian feast, they strolled to a French pâtisserie. The display window was filled with an array of delicate pastries and chocolates. Inside, the smell of baking pastry and brewing coffee filled the air. Jack selected a variety of desserts, eclairs, macarons, and a tart tatin. As they tasted each one, Kara's expressions ranged from delight to surprise. The flavors are so subtle, yet complex, she said after a bite of the tart tatin, tasting the caramelized apples. That's the French approach, elegance and technique, Jack replied. As the sun began to set, they took their desserts to a nearby beach, finding a quiet spot on the sand. The sky turned brilliant shades of pink and orange, reflecting off the gentle waves. This has been an enlightening day, Kara said, looking out at the horizon. Your world is full of diversity and passion. It's not just in your food, but in your landscapes, your music, your people. Jack nodded, feeling a deep satisfaction in sharing his world with her. And I've learned a lot from you too, Kara, about strength, honor, and a different kind of beauty. They sat in companionable silence, watching the stars begin to appear in the twilight sky. Thank you, Jack, for showing me your world, Kara said softly. And thank you for being open to it, Jack responded, his voice equally soft. As the first stars twinkled above, their journey together seemed just beginning. Tomorrow would bring another day, another adventure, but for now, they savored the peace and the shared warmth under the starry sky, each learning and growing through the lens of new experiences and a friendship that was quickly deepening into something more. Following their culinary tour, Jack proposed a day in the countryside to slow things down a bit. There's a place I know, perfect for a quiet day. It's peaceful, beautiful, ideal for some rest and deeper conversation, he suggested. Kara, who had begun to appreciate the quieter moments just as much as the bustling ones, agreed. That sounds perfect, Jack. They drove to a secluded cabin Jack owned in the hills, surrounded by vast forests and a sparkling lake. The natural beauty of the place was breathtaking, with birds singing and the gentle rustling of leaves in the wind. As they unpacked the car, Jack pointed out various local plants and explained their uses, both culinary and medicinal. Kara listened, fascinated by how much knowledge he had of his surroundings. On Amazonas, we too have a deep connection with our environment. It's necessary for survival, she shared, helping him carry a picnic basket. I guess some things are universal, Jack mused, leading her to a small boat by the lake. How about a row out on the water? It's a great way to see the landscape. Once on the lake, the isolation felt complete. The water was a mirror, reflecting the sky and trees with perfect clarity. Kara took in the serene beauty, her earlier apprehension about being so far from her known world easing. This tranquility, it's new to me, she admitted as Jack rowed. Our environments are not built for peace, but for challenge. Jack nodded, understanding. Sometimes, peace is the biggest challenge. To just be still, it's not as easy as it sounds. They reached the middle of the lake, where Jack stopped rowing, letting the boat drift. They ate lunch, sharing a simple meal of sandwiches and fruit, continuing their exchange of personal stories and philosophical thoughts. Jack, what made you choose this life? The trading, the constant moving? Kara asked, genuinely curious about what drove the man beside her. He laughed softly, picking at the grass beside him. I suppose I've always been looking for something. Connection, maybe. Understanding different people, different cultures. It's not just a job. It's a way of living, and have you found what you're looking for? Sometimes I think I have. Moments like this, they feel right, Jack confessed, looking out across the lake. Kara nodded, feeling a kinship. In you, I see a warrior of sorts. Not like those on Amazonas, but a warrior for peace. It's admirable. Jack was touched by her words. Thanks, Kara. That means a lot coming from you. As the day waned, they rowed back to shore, the setting sun casting long shadows over the lake. They decided to walk through the nearby forest, the air cool and fresh as night began to fall. Under the canopy of towering trees, Jack stopped and turned to Kara. There's something about sharing all this with you. It's made me see it anew. Thank you for that. Kara stepped closer, her voice soft. And thank you for trusting me with it. I never expected to find such a connection so far from home. Their walk back was quiet, reflective. When they reached the cabin, the first stars were visible, twinkling in the rapidly darkening sky. Sitting on the porch, they continued talking into the night, their conversation deepening as they explored their hopes and fears for the future. Kara expressed her anxiety about returning to a home that might view her differently now, and Jack reassured her, his words encouraging. We make our paths, Kara. Maybe together, we can make a new one. Kara looked at him, her expression a mix of gratitude and newfound resolve. I would like that, Jack. That night, under the vast, star-filled sky, they found not only solace in each other's company but a shared vision of what could be, a future where both could be true to themselves and each other. The silence of the hills, the calm of the lake, and the shelter of the trees offered a profound backdrop to their growing bond, promising a path forward together. The following morning, Jack and Kara set out from the cabin with a plan to experience another part of Earth's diverse landscapes. Jack had chosen a destination neither too far nor too familiar. The rolling hills of Napa Valley, known for its vineyards and tranquil beauty. As they drove, the early sun cast a golden glow over the vine-covered hillsides, and Jack felt a sense of peace watching Kara gaze out the window, her eyes reflecting the serene vistas. Today, I thought we'd try something different, Jack said, breaking the silence. Napa is famous for its wine, but it's also a place of quiet reflection and renewal. Kara turned to him, a slight smile on her face. I am beginning to see a pattern in your choices, Jack. You seek peace as much as adventure. Jack chuckled. Maybe I do. Seems like you're getting to know me pretty well. Their first stop was a small, family-run vineyard. The owner, a middle-aged man named Tom, greeted them warmly and began a tour of his property. As they walked among the rows of grapevines, Tom explained the process of winemaking, from planting to harvesting to fermentation. Kara listened intently, asking questions about the cultivation techniques and the seasons of growth. It's much like the growth cycles on Amazonas, though we cultivate different crops, she remarked. Farming's a universal language, isn't it? Jack mused, watching her connect the dots. Tom invited them to a tasting session. As they sampled different wines, he explained the characteristics of each, discussing the influence of soil and climate on the flavors. Kara, unused to the subtlety of wine, grew more fascinated with each sip. This one, she said, holding up a glass of Pinot Noir. It's like the forest at night, both mysterious and inviting. Jack laughed, delighted by her description. That's a beautiful way to put it. As the afternoon progressed, they thanked Tom and continued to a nearby hilltop, where they could see the entire valley spread out below them. They sat down on a grassy spot, a picnic basket at hand, filled with local cheeses and fruits. This tranquility, Kara began. I've never allowed myself to just sit and appreciate something like this. On Amazonas, every moment is about survival and strength. Jack handed her a piece of cheese. Strength comes in many forms. Sometimes, it takes more strength to pause and reflect than to keep pushing forward. Kara nodded, taking in his words. I am starting to understand that. They spent the rest of the afternoon talking about their pasts and possible futures. Jack shared more about his travels, the people he'd met, and the lessons he'd learned. Kara spoke of her duties and dreams, her worries about how her experiences on Earth might change her perspective when she returned home. As the sun began to set, casting a soft light over the valley, Jack turned to Kara, a serious look on his face. Kara, these days with you, they've been some of the best of my life. I don't want this to end when you go back. Kara looked at him, her expression tender. Nor do I, Jack. I feel a connection to your world, to you, that I did not expect. Jack took a deep breath. What if you didn't have to choose between returning to Amazonas or staying here? What if we could find a way to bridge our worlds, not just through trade but through us, through what we've started? Kara's eyes widened, the possibility dawning on her. A union between our worlds, represented by us? Yes, Jack affirmed, reaching for her hand. I think we could do something amazing together. I want to try if you're willing. Kara squeezed his hand, her decision clear in her eyes. I am willing, Jack. Let's create a new path, together. Under the fading light, their conversation continued, filled with plans and promises. They discussed how they might blend their lives and cultures, facing challenges but buoyed by the belief in their newfound bond. As the stars appeared, they sat together, united in their resolve to forge a shared future, a horizon that was theirs to shape. The decision to travel to Amazonas and seek the approval of Kara's tribe was not taken lightly. The journey would be long, and the outcome uncertain, but Jack and Kara agreed it was the next necessary step. As their spacecraft approached Amazonas, Jack gazed out at the unfamiliar landscape, a mixture of awe and anxiety filling him. What can I expect from your leaders? He asked Kara, who was busy preparing for their arrival. Kara turned to him, her expression serious. Honesty, strength, and perhaps skepticism. They value tradition deeply, and what we propose. It's unprecedented. Jack nodded, taking a deep breath. I'm ready to face them, to show them how serious I am about this, about us. The atmosphere in the tribal council chamber was tense as Kara introduced Jack to the elders. The chamber was a grand hall, adorned with symbols of Amazonas's rich history and the achievements of its people. This is Jack Harper, Kara announced, her voice steady and clear. He comes from Earth with a proposal that could benefit both our worlds. The elders examined Jack with discerning eyes. One elder, a tall, imposing figure named Tarn, stepped forward. You speak of benefits, Kara, but what do you know of our ways? How can this Earthling, unfamiliar with our customs, offer us anything of value? Jack stepped up, meeting Tarn's gaze. I may not know everything about your traditions, but I respect them. I've come to learn, to understand, and hopefully to contribute. I believe in Kara, in her vision for our future together. Another elder, Mira, spoke next. And what is this vision? Speak plainly, Earthling, Kara answered, her voice firm. It is a vision of unity, of shared knowledge and strength. Jack has shown me his world, a place of diverse cultures living together. We have much to learn from each other. Tarn considered her words, then turned to Jack. And you would learn our ways? Abide by our rules, even when they conflict with your own beliefs. Jack nodded. Yes, I would. Not to overshadow our differences, but to embrace and learn from them. The elders whispered among themselves, their discussions intense and animated. After what felt like an eternity, Tarn addressed them again. We will consider your proposal, but first, you must demonstrate your commitment to our ways. You will undergo the trials of merit, tests of skill, understanding, and spirit. Pass these, and we will discuss your union further. Jack agreed without hesitation, determined to prove his dedication. Over the following days, he was tested in various Amazonian traditions, combat, strategy, and survival skills. Kara coached him when she could, her presence a constant source of encouragement. Each evening, as they prepared for the next day's trials, Jack and Kara discussed what they had learned from each other. These trials, they're tough, but fair, Jack admitted one night, nursing a bruised arm. I see the strength of your people, Kara. It's not just in combat, but in the resilience of spirit. And I see your strength too, Kara replied, her eyes warm with pride. Not just physical, but the strength of your convictions, your respect for our ways. On the final day of the trials, the elders gathered to witness Jack's last challenge, a test of strategy and leadership. Jack used all he had learned, not just from the trials but from his entire journey with Kara, to successfully lead a team through a complex simulation that mirrored a real-life crisis situation on Amazonas. When the trial concluded, Tarn approached Jack, a rare smile breaking his stern demeanor. You have shown great respect for our ways, Earthling. Perhaps there is hope for this union yet. That evening, as the elders deliberated, Jack and Kara stood together, hopeful but prepared for any decision. Their future hung in the balance, shaped by the trials and the bridges they had attempted to build between their worlds. The elders convened in the Grand Council chamber, their faces solemn as they prepared to deliver their decision. Jack and Kara stood hand in hand, awaiting the verdict that would define their future. The air was thick with anticipation. Elder Tarn rose from his seat, his gaze sweeping over the assembly before settling on the couple. We have observed the Earthling, Jack Harper, as he underwent the trials of merit. We have witnessed his respect for our customs and his determination to understand our ways. He paused, letting the words sink in. It is not often that we consider such a union, but given what we have seen, we are prepared to accept this alliance under one condition. Jack and Kara exchanged a tense look. What condition? Kara asked, her voice steady. That you, Kara of Amazonas, and you, Jack Harper of Earth, continue to serve as ambassadors of this union. You must educate both our people and yours about our cultures, our strengths, and our possibilities, Tarn declared. We accept this responsibility, Jack replied without hesitation, squeezing Kara's hand. We are committed to building understanding and cooperation between our worlds. The chamber erupted in murmurs of approval and dissent, but the decision was final. The elders had spoken. In the days that followed, preparations for a formal union ceremony began. It was to be a blend of both Earth and Amazonian traditions, symbolizing the new path they were forging together. The ceremony took place under the ancient gathering tree, a sacred site on Amazonas. Kara was adorned in traditional Amazonian garb, vibrant and elegant, while Jack wore a simple, dignified suit from Earth, symbolizing his heritage. As they stood before the gathered crowd of humans and Amazonians, Elder Mira stepped forward. Today, we witness a new beginning. May this union between Kara and Jack be as enduring as the stars. Jack took Kara's hands in his, looking into her eyes. Kara, with this union, I vow to respect and honor your culture, to learn from it and contribute to it. I promise to stand by you as we create a shared future. Kara's response was heartfelt. And I vow to embrace your world with an open heart to foster the bonds between our peoples. Together, we will show that strength comes not from dominance, but from understanding and mutual respect. The vows were sealed with a traditional Amazonian ritual involving the exchange of symbolic gifts. Jack presented Kara with a compass from Earth, representing guidance and exploration, and Kara gave Jack a small, intricately carved totem of Amazonas, symbolizing protection and strength. The ceremony concluded with a feast that featured dishes from both worlds, music that blended earthly tunes with Amazonian rhythms, and dances that saw everyone participating, human and Amazonian alike. As the celebration continued under the starlit sky, Jack and Kara found themselves at the edge of the gathering, looking out over the land that had brought them together. "This is just the beginning, isn't it?" Jack said, his voice full of wonder. Kara nodded, her eyes alight with excitement and hope. "Yes, a beginning. There will be challenges, but with you by my side, I believe we can face anything." The phrase that once sounded like an impossibility, Earthling took Amazon as slave and she became his wife, now echoed as a legend transformed by love, equality, and partnership. It was a testament to their journey, one that had started with tentative steps and had grown into a confident stride towards a shared future. Together, they looked up at the stars, the same stars seen from both Earth and Amazonas, a reminder of the universal connections waiting to be discovered, nurtured, and celebrated.